How do you create working software? In my previous video, I'm going to be linking to it in this description, I demonstrated Magic Cloud. And Magic Cloud was implemented by me single-handedly. I spent 5 years on it. Started it in 2019, but I actually invented Hyperlambda in 2013. And I invented active events, the design pattern that facilitates for Hyperlambda in 2009. So obviously there's a time factor to it. So let's go through what my experiences have taught me that you need to do in order to implement functioning software. First of all, you need to do it alone. There's absolutely no way I could have created Magic Cloud with a team. At least I have no idea about how to do that. And we've seen similar projects in the software industry, projects that are similar to Magic Cloud over the last 50 years, arguably. And we've also seen how all of these systems have largely failed. So you have to create it alone. You have to follow your vision, scratch your own scratch, and create something that you need. Because unless you do that, you will not have the patience to see the project through. Which brings me to the second point. You need time, shit loads of time. Why? Because the first iteration of your software is simply going to be nothing but a proof of concept. To which point you'll basically have to at some point start all over again. If you look at Magic Cloud, you will actually see that it is the second version of a software project called Phosphorus 5, which is mine. It's open source, you can find it at GitHub. I don't recommend you using it. But Phosphorus 5 was another mastodont project that I started already back in, I think, 2014 again. So we're talking about 10 years of software development now. And the first 5 years, I basically wasted my time. But I didn't actually waste it. I just taught myself how to not build Magic Cloud. Then, I don't have any education. When I started my job as a software developer, I had 9 years of formal education. I had only basic education, elementary school and secondary school. Now, over time, I finished high school in evening classes. And then after that, I attended university for like a year, but I rapidly realized that I knew more about software development than every single professor I had. So I quit. I didn't see the point of it. I don't mean to offend anybody here now for having wasted 5, 6 or 10 years in college, but I have none. Then you need to follow one axiom. You need to come up with a brilliant, inside of your mind, there's a brilliant idea waiting to be born. And it's more like an intuitive hunch than like a massive architectural vision currently for most of you. Now you need to follow that hunch without currently knowing whether or not it is going to actually bring you ashore. But that hunch is like your gift from your subconsciousness. The hunch I followed was about project dependency graphs and how they destroyed my ability to create working software. Because once you have dependencies from project A to project B, then what's happening is that your software modules or components becomes codependent upon each other, preventing you from applying changes to one of them without affecting other components, which results in future incompatibility problems. So now with these things, let me show you Magic Cloud's code. Here you can see Magic Cloud's code. You can see it's divided into backend and frontend. If you go into the frontend, it's Angular code. I'm not going to show you that code, but I'm going to show you the backend code. Now, if you look at the backend here, you look at the by far largest folder. It's the files folder. And here you can see the code, for instance, for, let me find something more relevant. Let me do, for instance, the Shopify plugin, workflows, actions, Shopify ingest. Here is the declaration of a workflow action, which is basically an atomic building block that you can use to combine together within Hyperlambda workflows that allows you to automate the concept of software development. If I now go in to the Magic Cloud here, I go to create, I go to Hyper ID, I expand modules, I create my own new module, I call it foo, and then I create a new foo.get.hl. This creates an HTTP GET endpoint. I can apply some description, I can apply some arguments, query, I can save the file, and now if I do OpenAI URLs search, for instance, now I can search for the specified query, and then I can do return last action save. Now if I execute this file, query Thomas Hansen Hyperlambda, what it's actually doing now is that it's reaching up to DuckDuckGo and it's returning the results semantically that DuckDuckGo actually returns to me. This particular activity is actually semantically parsing the HTML and finding the search results based upon CSS selectors from DuckDuckGo's HTML UI. Now, this allows me to use these atomic building blocks to orchestrate and compose larger workflows together. And a workflow is basically what you would call functional method or a specific trait of some particular software system. Now, if we look at how this was tied together, then if we look at the plugins here now, there are two projects that are, or three projects that are integrated into every single other project. It's Magic Node. Magic Node is basically a node structure, a graph object. It's a name, value, children, collection. As you can see here, here's the children, here's the name, and then it's got a value somewhere further down here, right? Now, here's the value. In addition to that, it's got an expression type of, let me see if I can find it, expression engine that allows me to write stuff such as now if I go into Hyperlambda Playground, I do input, how the world, I do output, and then I do set value, colon x, colon, output, put, get value, input. Now if I execute this, you will see now after I've executed the code, line 2, the dot output node contains the value howdy world. Why? Because this is a reference to a node using an expression, and this is the reference to a node using an expression. But besides from that, there are no cross project references. If I now go into, for instance, Magic Lambda here, which is the core programming language that contains stuff such as if and while and for each loops, etc., then you will see that this project only references Magic Node and Magic Signals. Magic Signals I kind of forgot about, so let me show you Magic Signals. Magic Signals.
And as you can see, it basically has one important interface, which is called iSlot. Now, if I look at how the while loop was implemented, for instance, you will see that basically it declares an attribute for a slot, and that's class implements the iSlot interface. And here you can see the implementation of that. And the whole idea of the project is that it doesn't take types. There's no OOP here, even though it's C#. It only takes a node as its input, being its current identity node. If I write for each colon x colon at dot data, and then I create a data segment, dot data, foo1 bar 1, foo2 bar 2, foo3 bar 3. For each data set value colon x colon dp hash dot howdy from for each loop. Hopefully this is going to work, and as you can see, it clearly did. Then what's that? The identity node, this is the node. For each, this is the identity node, allowing me to traverse upwards, inwards, downwards, sideways, whatever ways I see fit to retrieve nodes. There's no OOP, nothing. And as you can see, every single C# file in this project actually is 100% quote-unquote perfect according to technical debt. The project has 0 technical debt. The reasons for that is because every single method has a cognitive complexity that is below the number 25. And as you can see, it's not one project. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It's actually 43 projects. And here you can see it's got the ability to generate CSV from Lambda and Lambda from CSV. If I now do CSV to Lambda, then I do minus asterisk, then hopefully this is going to work, and it didn't. CSV to Lambda, data, doesn't matter. I can transform between Lambda and CSV. And it's got all of these helper functions, and each of these are 100% completely isolated. So if I look at, for instance, magic strings, you will see that it has 0 cross-project references, except for node and signals.
So what does this have to do with my previous YouTube videos? Well, I started the project as open source, and I felt I had done a beautiful discovery. So I went to Reddit, where other software developers were hanging out, and I shared links to the project, and I was very enthusiastic about, yeah, look what I found. Golly gosh, guys, this is great, you know. Hey, I want to share it with you, you know, use it. And I was ridiculed and humiliated to an extent you cannot imagine. When they started referring to me as a terrorist and you know, crazy person, I just completely gave up, and I just left Reddit, and never went back really. I tried a couple of more times over the next couple of years, but I gave up. Still today I have this one guy online that subscribes to my YouTube videos with the sole purpose of downvoting every single YouTube video I publish. He's followed me over 3 different YouTube channels now for 6 years. He comes from Reddit. And I just gave up. I closed the project because I realized at some point that I did not want these people to be able to leverage my intellectual property for free. And I don't know what to tell you. You know, the proof is in the pudding. You see, I couldn't, amongst 30 million software developers, I wasn't able to find one single software developer that believed in that what I had found was beautiful. So where's teamwork, right? You have to do it alone, period, end of debate.